Hi and welcome back to this video guide on how to build a knowledge base application. My name is Ned. I am a technical evangelist at Caspio. In part 3, I'm going to show you how to build the views to correctly filter out users based on their roles and authentications that we're going to use to allow users to log into the application. Let's take a look. Now that we know how to set up tables, let's learn how to set up the view to properly filter users from admins. Inside Caspio, you have two ways to use the views. One is to filter data, which is what we're going to see now, and the second way to use the views is to combine tables or merge tables together using a common value so that you can establish relationships. We're not going to talk about that in this ultimate video guide, but we do have plenty of resources on our website that show you how you can combine multiple tables together to link data from each table. Let's set up our first view. And in the first view, let's go ahead and call this KB filter admins. So I want the view just to filter out the admin level user from the table that we created in the prior video. And the table of users contains all the users. So let's move that to the right, hit next. And then using the criteria tab, you're going to see these drag and drop elements that you can position here on the canvas screen. And you can also remove them if you wish to start over. So by combining these elements on the right side is how you're going to tell the view to filter the data that you wish to see from the table. And since we're looking for active admins, I want to move over the field element and I want to select the field from that user table called role. And I want that to equal to admin. So anybody who is an admin in my table, I want them to be shown inside this view. Since we're looking for active admins, let's move over the field element again and select a field called account status, and we want that to be checked. If both of these conditions are true, if role equals to admin and the account status is checked, I want this view just to filter data based on those two conditions. So when you hit finish and you open up the view, you should be able to see all of your admins listed. However, we don't have any users inside a table at the moment. I'll go back to that in just a minute, but let's set up our second view that filters out just active users. Let's call this KB filter active users. Once again, from the same users table, hit next, and in the criteria tab, just drag over the field element once, select the field account status, and let's have that be checked. In this application, everyone is considered a user, even the admin. But we create a separate view just to filter out the admins because we will have some reports and forms that only admin level user will be able to see. So this is why we create two separate views. One that lists all the users and one that's just listing the admins because they're going to have different privileges and different permissions to do additional work inside their portal. Let's hit finish. When I open up the view now, let's open up the admin view just for a moment. You'll see that it doesn't show any data because this view is trying to filter information from the user table. But if I go back to my user table and open it, you will see that it's an empty table. So let's add some information to this table so that you can see how the view functions. So I'm going to add Kelly Smith, and let's have Kelly be the admin. I'll create the password to be test. Kelly will become the admin inside this application, and I want to give her active status. Let's add myself. I'll be the user inside this application. Same password, test. And I'm going to assign myself a role of a user, and I'm also going to apply my active checkbox here so that I can log into the application. So I'm adding users manually directly inside a table. Later on, we're going to learn how to build a submission form for the website in order to accomplish the same thing. So now let's go back to our views. And if I open up this view, I should be able to see just Kelly's information because, again, the way we set up and configure the view is to only show the admins that are checked. My second view is going to show all the users, which are Kelly and myself, because the only thing that we're looking for is that the account is checked. The reason why you do this is because you might have some reports and forms that need to be shared between the two user groups. You don't want to create a separate view just for users only and admins because some reports and some forms will be shared. That's why we want to give access to everyone, and this is the reason why we create this view to be able to give access to all of the members to view those reports. Once you have the views completed, the next step is to go down to the authentications object, and here you will build your login interface. So when you're on the website and you see that email and password combination, that's essentially what you're going to be building inside this view. So let's build our very first authentication. And let's begin with the admins first. This view is just filtering admins, who in our case is Kelly. Now the way you give Kelly access to the application, you can either use Express or Custom. Express is a very fast login screen that you can build, but I always recommend Custom because you get a lot more customization options. What this is asking you is how do you want to validate this user that's logging into the application? And in Caspio, we give you 4 different methods. If you use the very first option, which is the Caspio data source, what you're looking at is this view that you have selected in this dropdown. So anybody who's listed in this view will be able to log into the application. You can also allow Kelly to log in using social media. So if you want her to log in using her Gmail account or Twitter, by configuring this screen, that's how she's going to be able to log in. The third radio button is a combination of both of these. So Kelly can log in either using the information from the view, or if she chooses to log in using social media, she has that option as well. And the last radio button is SAML single sign-on, Active Directory or Azure, depending on where you have your network credentials stored. What's great about this feature is that your internal employees can use their network credentials to log in simultaneously in the Caspio app and also their internal network. So you don't have to have 2 separate sets of credentials. You use 1 set of credentials and you can log into the Caspio application at the same time. In this video guide, we're going to focus on the very first radio button. Here are my 2 login fields, email and password. Notice that for my email field, it says label username. I'm just going to quickly rename that to email. It's a little bit more clear. You will see some advanced settings down below. We're going to come back to this as we begin building our application and also deploying our application to the web. So for now, we're going to collapse that section and come back to it later. When you're done, click on Create, and let's call this KB Admin Login. So that's my very first authentication object. Let's create the second one that's going to give access to all the users. So let's set up our second login screen. And we're going to use the other view that's filtering everyone who is active. Once again, we'll use Custom, Recommended. I'm just going to rename my label to say Email. Scroll down, click on Create, and let's call this KB User Login. And this is how in Caspio you set up the login interface and given access or permissions to different type of users. Depending on your organization, you might have more than 2 levels. In this application, we have an admin level and a user level. You might have a manager level, a supervisor level, or different type of unique employees that need to be able to see different things when they log in. So by creating these views, you're going to be able to filter out those employees that are going to have access to certain aspects of the application. And then you follow that up with the authentications, and you might have 2, you might have 3 or 4 different types of authentications that you're giving access to. Thank you for watching this video. Join me in the next video where I teach you how to build all the forms, reports, and how we apply these authentications to all of the functionality that we'll be building in the next video. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you there.